I realized in the previous example, I kind of, knowing the things I know, I knew it was going to be a circle. And so there was a step in there that I should have done differently. When I divided everything by -2, that was kind of a mistake because that's not going to work every single time. And specifically, I can't, in this case, divide everything by the coefficient on this squared term because then I'm going to be stuck over here. And if you guys might remember that when we're completing the square, one of the things is to always have the squared term have a coefficient of 1. So here's what I should have done in the previous example, and I'll do it quickly in this example, and then we'll see if we can classify this one correctly. I am still going to keep my x terms together, my y terms together. I'm going to get that constant and push over to the other side. So that's going to look like a -16x squared minus 32x plus y squared minus 2y equal to 1. And if you're missing what I'm doing here, I'm basically just putting the x terms together like this. I'm putting the y terms together over here, and then this I'm adding 1 to both sides. Now what I should have done in the previous problem was treated this like a separate problem, and whatever that coefficient was, not divide everything through by it, but just pull it out of these two terms, the x terms, and dealt with a negative, in this case it'd be a -16, parentheses, x squared, and since I'm pulling out a -16, I have a positive 2x to worry about. And at this point too, I'm going to say we kind of know where we're headed with completing the square a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and put a plus a blank inside of here. And with this y squared, we want that coefficient to be 1. Well, it already is 1, so I don't have to worry about that. I am still, though, going to make this weird step of putting a parenthesis around here, -2y. I'm going to add a blank to this as well. And then I'm going to put 1 plus 1 blank plus the other. And then how we fill in the blanks, that hasn't changed. But I'm just going to focus all my energy inside of these parentheses. Whatever half of this number is, I'm going to take that half, which is 1, and square it, which is still 1. But on this blank over here, I'm not going to put a 1 because there's a -16 floating out here. So even though inside the parentheses I put a 1, this entire side, it's like if I were to just to distribute this, it'd be a -16. So to keep things balanced, this side needs a -16. And then for this guy, I'm looking at this. Half of this value is, of course, -1. If I square -1, it's +1. There isn't anything outside these parentheses, so it is like I just put a 1 there, so I'll put another 1 over here to keep things balanced. And now we'll go ahead and write this in a way that looks a little more familiar to the previous sections. So -16 chilling out over here. This becomes x minus 1 quantity squared plus, there's no coefficient on the y stuff, we'll have y minus 1. And you guys might be thinking that I just made a mistake, and you're right, a small mistake. If you didn't see it, you see it now. It's this right here. That should have been a plus sign. Please forgive me on that. And that's going to equal whatever these combine to make. These look like they're going to combine to make one -14. Kind of a strange value. But that's okay. If I look at this equation, we know that we always want this to equal 1 if we can. So I'll divide everything by -14. That's going to give me 8/7 times x plus 1 squared minus 1/14 times y minus 1 squared equals +1. Now, the last thing is we're supposed to classify this conic section. I will say I made this example. I'm modifying a problem that they gave me, and that's why the numbers are so strange right now. But the good news is it doesn't even matter for classification. For classification, what matters is that we have something squared, and we see how those things are being related. And I can see here that it's an x squared, it's a y squared. If I had one that equal to 1, there's a minus sign in between them, and that tells me that this type of conic section is going to be a hyperbola for sure. Because anytime it's like x squared and y squared with a minus sign, that's hyperbola. So sorry about the strange numbers, but you know, it's kind of nice to see your math teacher work through one that doesn't work out well once in a while. I hope you agree. Because the process is not going to be different, but hopefully the ones you guys do won't have these weird fractional things happening that made me pause and give you like 30 seconds of dead air time. Good luck. I'm sure you guys can do great with this. Just stay calm. You know, remember your training, and you'll do great. Good luck.